What is the most important thing to have? First one is your syllabus. Second क्या है? बेयर एक्ट. थर्ड वन क्या है? आपकी नोट्स. और फोर्थ वन आपका नोट्स के साथ ये बेयर एक्ट विथ नोट्स समझो. बेयर एक्ट विथ नोट्स. एंड फोर्थ वन इज योर व्हाट इंपॉर्टेंट केस लॉस. ठीक है, ये चारों मिलके आपका प्रिपरेशन स्टार्ट होगा, राइट, विथ प्रैक्टिस. Okay, so what subject we are dealing now? We are dealing with what is subject we are dealing with? क्या नाम है सब्जेक्ट का?
कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट.
इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट. साल क्या है? What is the name of the year?
1872.
तो मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंटली आपका नाम याद रहना और आपका साल याद रहना. You have to remember your name and year. ठीक है. So the Indian Contracts Act 1872. ठीक है.
सर ये इनैक्टमेंट डेट है.
This is the enactment year. ये enactment year है. ठीक है, वो डेट आती नेक्स्ट बेरैक्ट में. पहले ईयर देता हूँ. इसमें शॉर्ट टाइटल वो है इनैक्टमेंट है. एक इनैक्टमेंट ईयर रहता है, एक एनफोर्समेंट ईयर रहता है. ठीक है. अब नेक्स्ट आप शॉर्ट टाइटल एक्सटेंड जब कमेंसमेंट जब पढ़ते तो वो याद रहना. आप लोग नोट्स बना रहे, यू आर मेकिंग योर नोट्स.
हाँ सर.
So अपन next 10 to 15 days we are going to learn only the Contracts Act. ठीक है. तो Contract Act पूरा खत्म हुए तक we are not going to change this subject now. Contract Act 1. Okay. So please make sure you are making your notes. Notes कैसा बनाना? पहले बेयर एक्ट पढ़ो आप. क्या दिया हुआ है? द इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स एक्ट 1872. अब इसमें कितने सेक्शन हैं? अरेंजमेंट ऑफ सेक्शंस, प्रियम्बल, शॉर्ट टाइटल, एक्सटेंड ये रहता. सबसे पहले क्या है? प्रिलिमिनरी. द वेरी फर्स्ट थिंग यू हैव इज योर प्रिलिमिनरी. उसके बाद में दो सेक्शन है इसमें. देन यू हैव चैप्टर नंबर 1. व्हाट इज द चैप्टर नंबर 1? देखो अभी आपको समझ में थोड़ा थोड़ा आता, बट आई एम जस्ट गिविंग ए बेयर एक्ट रीडिंग फर्स्ट. तो पहले क्या है आपका? इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का टाइटल हो गया विथ ईयर. व्हाट इज चैप्टर नंबर 1? So what is the chapter number 1? Please read the heading.
Of the communication, acceptance and revocation of proposals.
So chapter number 1 of the communication, acceptance and revocation of proposals. Communicate माने आप अपनी बात पहुंचाना. बात पहुंचाए बाद में एक्सेप्ट होना. एंड अगर एक्सेप्ट नहीं होने से पहले आप वापस भी ले लेना. रिवोकेशन माने वापस लेना. कितने सेक्शन है? देखिए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में अपने को आर्टिकल्स रहते. ओनली इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वी हैव आर्टिकल्स, बट एक्सेप्ट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, आप कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन छोड़ दो, द एवरीथिंग यू विल हैव इज योर सेक्शंस. ठीक है. तो इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट्स में कितने सेक्शन हैं? लास्ट में देखो
36.
तो how many sections do we have?
266.
238 sections. ठीक है. अभी पार्टनरशिप एक्ट नया बना दी. 266 टोटल है पूरे, लेकिन रिपीट माने पूरा डिलीट कर दे के एक अलग कानून बना दिया उसको. ठीक है. इफेक्ट तक कितना है? पूरे चैप्टर 11 चैप्टर हैं. पूरे क्या है? 11 चैप्टर हैं. उसमें से आप रिपीट बोल के लिखना याद रखो. आप निकाल दिए बोल के रखना नहीं है, उसको मिस नहीं कर सकते आप. ये चैप्टर नंबर 11 था, पार्टनरशिप का था, वो आप निकाल दिए बोल के लिखना. तो पूरे कितने हैं? 266. लेकिन 239 से 266 रिपील हो गया. ठीक है. 239 से 266 क्या है? रिपील हो गया. चैप्टर नंबर 11 क्या था? पार्टनरशिप. तो आप लोगों के जो सिलेबस में, your syllabus has been divided into 2 semesters, contract 1 and contract 2. ठीक है, पहले सेमेस्टर में आपको कितने सेक्शन है पूरे? हाउ मेनी सेक्शन डू वी हैव? 266.
266.
अपने को पढ़ना कहाँ तक है?
239.
238.
8.
और सेमेस्टर 1 में आपको सिर्फ और सिर्फ क्या कर पढ़ना है आपको? 75 तक ही पढ़ना है। 75 सेक्शन पढ़ना है सेमेस्टर 1 में। आप खाली 6 चैप्टर ना पढ़ना है। ठीक है, तो चैप्टर नंबर 1 क्या है? चैप्टर नंबर 1 of the communication, acceptance and revocation of proposals.
Proposals.
के बाद में what is the chapter number 2? Please read what is chapter number 2.
Of contracts, voidable contracts, and void agreements.
Of contracts, voidable contracts और
And
void agreements.
agreements.
voidable माने जो कैंसिल कर सकते, यूनिलेटरल। ठीक है, void माने जीरो, माने वैसा पहले था ही नहीं जैसा। ठीक है, तो चैप्टर नंबर 2 ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स, voidable contracts and void contracts. अब देखिए सिलेबस दिख रहा है आपको स्क्रीन पे? Are you able to see the screen now? Yes or no? स्क्रीन पे क्या
Yes,
दिख
yes,
रहा है आपको?
visible.
3/DC ऑनर सिलेबस या जनरल सिलेबस एक ही रहता, खाली एक सब्जेक्ट एक्स्ट्रा है बस, होता ही। कंफ्यूज मत हो। तो पहले सेमेस्टर में आपको लॉ ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स 1 है, फिर सेकंड सेमेस्टर में आपको लॉ ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स 2 है। ठीक है, नाउ लेट अस सी द सिलेबस। कितने हैं सब्जेक्ट? चैप्टर्स कितने हैं आपको? यूनिट्स कितने हैं? 1 2 3 4 5। देयर आर 5 यूनिट्स। व्हाट डज द 5 फर्स्ट यूनिट से? What is the unit 1? It talks about definition and essentials of valid contract. पहले तो कोई भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है तो आपको क्या होना है? The very first you should have the definition.
Voice break करो sir.
Hello, are you with? First, the very first, कोई भी आप चैप्टर ले लो, the very first thing is definition and essentials of a valid contract पढ़ना है, पहला चैप्टर। उसमें क्या है फिर सब टॉपिक? डेफिनेशन एंड एसेंशियल्स ऑफ ए वैलिड ऑफर। आ रही आवाज कट हो रही?
Sir, voice break करो.
आ रही आवाज?
Yes, sir.
हाँ sir, आ रही.
तो डेफिनेशन एंड एसेंशियल्स ऑफ ए वैलिड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट देखे थे अपन, पहला चैप्टर है ये, यूनिट 1 का पहला चैप्टर। सेकंड क्या है? डेफिनेशन एंड एसेंशियल्स ऑफ ए वैलिड ऑफर। कोई भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है ना तो सबसे पहले ऑफर आना, फिर डेफिनेशन एंड एसेंशियल्स ऑफ अ वैलिड एक्सेप्टेंस। पहले तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, फिर ऑफर, फिर क्या है? ऑफर का एक्सेप्टेंस, देन कम्युनिकेशन ऑफ ऑफर एंड एक्सेप्टेंस ऑफ ऑफर। ठीक है, ये बहुत सारा इंपॉर्टेंट है। सेकंड, अगर एक्सेप्टेंस करने से पहले क्या है? वापस लेना। वापस लेने क्या बोलते हैं आप? व्हाट यू कॉल व्हेन यू टेक बैक द ऑफर? रिवोकेशन ऑफ ऑफर। रिवोकेशन ऑफ ऑफर एंड एक्सेप्टेंस थ्रू वेरियस मोड्स इंक्लूडिंग इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडियम। देखिए पहले क्या था, जस्ट बिफोर 20 years अपने कुछ ईमेल नहीं था, कुछ नहीं था, बट टुडे व्हाट वी आर सीइंग कि वी हैव इंटरनेट और इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडियम से आप एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हो, व्हाट्सएप इस्तेमाल कर रहे हो, ओके आई एक्सेप्ट। आप एक एग्रीमेंट में यू चेक एंड से आई एक्सेप्ट द टर्म्स एंड एग्रीमेंट बोल के, दैट इज योर नथिंग बट ऑफर एंड एक्सेप्टेंस। कंसिडरेशन, अब उर्दू में क्या बोलेंगे कंसिडरेशन को? व्हाट डू वी कॉल इन उर्दू? कंसिडरेशन माने कोई भी काम कर रहे हैं आप,
ध्यान में लेना।
कंसिडरेशन वो आपके जनरल इंग्लिश का मीनिंग हो गया। उर्दू का माने व्हाट डू कॉल इन तेलुगु और हिंदी? कोई चीज के लिए काम कर रहे हैं आप, मुआवजा। इन उर्दू वी कॉल इट एज मुआवजा मिलना, ठीक है। अब तेलुगु में क्या बोलते हैं, हिंदी में क्या बोलेंगे, उर्दू में तो अब कोई चीज के लिए आप पैसा लेके काम कर रहे हैं, तो चीज को क्या बोलेंगे आप, ठीक है। कंसिडरेशन माने द किसके लिए काम कर रहे, क्या मिल रही है आपको चीज बदले में, मुआवजा या बदला। salient फीचर्स, एक्सेप्शन टू कंसिडरेशन, डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ प्रिविटी ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बोल के है, एक्सेप्शन टू द प्रिविटी ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एंड स्टैंडर्ड फॉर्म ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, ठीक है। तो इसके साथ विल डू द सम एग्जांपल्स ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स आल्सो। तो ये क्या है आपका यूनिट नंबर 1 है, ठीक है। समझ में आ रहा है यूनिट नंबर 1? इस और नो?
सर ये 6 चैप्टर्स और 5 यूनिट सेम ही है ना? यूनिट्स एंड चैप्टर 1 एंड द सेम।
यूनिट एंड चैप्टर 1 एंड द सेम, ये सब टॉपिक है। अब आपको पांच पांच ही रहते, 6 नहीं रहते, पांच पांच यूनिट। अब यूनिट 2, okay, so unit number 2, when we see the unit number 2, when you see the unit number 2, what is the unit number 2? It is the capacity of parties. Now when you do a contract, how many parties should be there? Okay,
Two.
this is the,
Two.
I want
Two
this
parties.
conversation to be two way, not one way. It is very general. I will be speaking in English so that all the students can understand, okay. Whoever is not able to understand, you can just ask one or you can just message, okay. It's on the request. So unit 2 is the capacity of the parties. Unit 1 is definition, consideration and everything. Unit 2 is the capacity of the parties. Now in any contract, how many parties should be there? Party 1 and party 2. What is the first condition for a contract? Who is a minor or who is a major as per the definition, legal definition? Who is a minor?
Below 16 years.
Below 18 years.
Below 18 years.
Below 18 years. Below 18 years.
Minor.
A person is said to be minor. Can a minor do the contract? The answer, general answer
No.
is no.
No.
The two parties has to be major and minor, or major and major, above 18 years only, completed. Then the contracts of insane person. What is insane? Who is
Mad.
not is not sound mind.
Disable.
Senses, not in
Stable.
senses.
Not
Pagal
in
बोलते हैं.
senses.
Insane, which is not correct mind, who cannot think, the thinking capacity is finished. बोलते insane. Sane, sound person. Insane, whose thinking capacity is finished now. Person disqualified by law. Insane persons and persons disqualified by law. Concept of free consent. What is a free consent? A free consent is something which is voluntary. Okay. Then coercion. What is a coercion? Coercion is making something by force. Okay. Then you have undue influence. What is the undue influence? Undue influence is something Like for example, if you try to understand this undue influence, now you have some shop, okay? You have some shop, and I want to buy something from your shop. And when I come to your shop, I buy something, but I don't give you the exact the real amount. I just give you something, or I just don't give you something. What I'm using it, what influence I'm using? Undue influence.
Undue
Because of
influence.
some qualification,
Bargain.
I'm not bargaining. I come to a shop, I take something, and as I am one of the tutor, as one of the coach, with respect, you don't ask me anything. So, but is I am legally valid there to take anything from your shop?
No.
No.
No. But as you cannot say anything, I will be using the undue influence.
Influence.
Understood? Misrepresentation. Misrepresentation is something which you give the wrong or incorrect information or incomplete information.
Untrue.
Misrepresentation is
False
something,
image.
it is the incorrect.
Like misunderstood impression.
Yes, misunderstanding me. पूरी complete information नहीं देता ना. You don't give the complete information. ठीक है? That is misrepresentation. Right? Then fraud, 100% false. Fraud is something 100% false.
False.
Then mistake of fact or mistake of law. There are two. One is mistake of fact, another is mistake of law. Then lawful object. What is lawful object? Here the object is the aim. Here the object is the aim. Goal. It should be any contract you do. It should be lawful. It should not be illegal, right? Then you have immoral agreement and various heads of public policy.
Public policy.
Okay. Immoral agreement. What is immoral agreement?
Morally incorrect.
Morally incorrect. You do an agreement, but it is morally incorrect. Now you have dowry.
Yes.
Dowry में क्या agreement होता? In dowry,
No.
25 lakh cash, triple bedroom, grand marriage. What is this?
Car.
Car. And so is dowry immoral, right? Immoral agreement. Even the oral agreement as well as written agreement. Normally we do not do a written agreement in dowry, but it is done orally. इतना देना बोल के. You have to do, otherwise we don't accept. They don't give in writing, but they ask orally. Immoral agreement and various types of public policy. Illegal agreements are there. Like you hire someone to kill someone. That is illegal agreement. Uncertain agreements. What is uncertain agreements? Can you give an example?
Like you don't know whether it will happen or not.
A
No
boyfriend says,
conformity.
I'll bring stars for you. Is it possible?
No.
It is called uncertain. होने वाला नहीं हो. You cannot, it is uncertain, it is unsure. Uncertain is unsure. But you still do it. Right? There is a famous song. Recently it has been released.
Yes.
So it is an uncertain agreement. Then you have wagering agreement. What is a wagering agreement? Wagering agreement is something. Have you seen the horse race?
Yes.
Horse race. Betting will be done.
Yes.
Now, even in what you can say, how many of you are using these betting apps? Make your team. If you do the right thing, if you
India.
rightly bet it, you will win more. 1,000 rupees bonus, 100 rupees bonus. Wagering agreement is nothing but wagering agreements are nothing but betting. You predict the future. Okay? In wagering agreements. Then you have contingent contracts.
Okay.
You have your contingent contracts. They are semi-contracts. They are semi-contracts, not complete contracts. They are semi-contracts. Then you have void contract. Void means zero. Void means zero. Void double contract means there are party A and party B. There is a party A and party B. Now, after some time, party A wants to withdraw unilaterally. Then they are known as voidable contracts. One of the party can withdraw unilaterally. They are called as voidable contracts. ठीक है समझ में आ गया understood next you have discharge of contracts. Discharge is nothing but performance of contract. Now what we have done, we are in a contract now. What I said, okay, I'll be teaching you this subject. I'll be teaching you this subject for some amount. This is my consideration. This is my consideration. Now once this agreement is written and it is just done, then you have to discharge. You have to perform the contract. You have to fulfill the contract. Discharge of contracts by performance. Appropriation of payment. How will you take the payment? Appropriation. Performance of joint promisers. Whenever you promise something, there are two persons. One is the promiser. The person who is doing the promise is known as promiser. A person who is to whom the promise is done is promisee. Right. If there are two promisers, discharged by novation. Novation comes by the term new. New. Okay, something new. If something new happens, something situation changes, and that cannot be performed, you say, why like COVID has come, a new situation has come. Because of the COVID, nothing was open, everything was closed. So we accept it. Okay, bhai, as the new conditions have arrived, the contract cannot be completed. So we discharge it. We discharge it. It to finish. Discharge means finish. Remission, to take back. Remission is nothing but to take back. Accord, means agreement. Satisfaction, you complete the contract. As I promise, I will complete it. This payment is done, consideration is done, syllabus is completed. You are both parties are satisfied. The contract is discharged. Right? In the discharge by impossibility, uncertain events. Doctrine of frustration. This is very, very important. Doctrine of frustration. Discharge by breach. Breach means what is a breach?
Violating.
Violation. Discharge by breach means violation. Breaking the contract. Breaking the contract. In general term, we call it as break. In constitutional term, we call it as violation. And in contractual language, we call it as breach. We call it as breach. Then anticipatory breach. To think in the next conditions, there will be a violation. That is anticipatory breach. Actual breach, you are actually doing it. You are breaking the contract. Okay. Unit 4, quasi contract. Quasi is like similar to a contract but not actual contract. Quasi mane, what is a quasi?
Partially.
Partial, semi, similar to a contract but not actual contract. We'll have the examples also. Necessaries supplied to a person who is incapable of entering into an agreement. अब देखिए, for example, now necessaries supplied to a person who is incapable of entering. There is a minor. Now when you go to a bank, a child is minor. Then will the bank open the account on the child's name?
No.
The bank will open the
No.
account, but they will say the person will,
Guardian.
the minor cannot operate the account. On behalf of the minor, who will operate the account?
The guardian of that.
The guardian, the
Guardians.
parents. Okay, the major. So necessaries, that is called necessary.
Yeah.
Payment by an interested person. Okay. Liability. What is a liability? Responsibility. Liability is nothing but responsibility.
Responsibility.
The onus to pay for a non-gratuitous act. Now there is a gratuitous and there is non-gratuitous act. We'll see in the code. Right of finder of goods. Right of finder of lost goods. Things delivered by a mistake or coercion. There is a quantum merit. Remedies for breach of contract. Kinds of damages. Please remember, here damages is not physical damage. Here the damage means the monetary compensation. Damage means monetary compensation.
Compensation.
This is a contract, comes under civil law. In civil law, there will be no incarceration. You will not put under the jail, but you have to pay the monetary compensation. Okay? Now, kinds of damages are of two types. One is your liquidated damages and one is your unliquidated damages. What is a liquidated damages? You make an
You
agreement.
can convert into money.
No, this is a general meaning. This is a general meaning. The gold can be converted into liquid for cash. No. Here the liquidated means there is an agreement. If in agreement it is written that if you break this contract, you have to pay 50,000 rupees. If you break a contract, if you breach a contract, you have to pay 50,000 rupees.
55.
Now, whenever a sum is written actually in the contract itself, what you have to pay, then it is called as liquidated. You call it as liquidated damage. If on breach nothing is written, the loss will be calculated after the breach. It is called as unliquidated damages. Right? If the cost is before the breach of contract, it is known as liquidated damages. And if it is after the breach of contract, it is called as unliquidated damages. Then you will have penalty also due to mitigate. If something happens because of your message, because of the responsibility, you have to mitigate. What is a mitigate? Mitigate का मतलब to control the situation. To control the situation. Mitigate means to control. Next, the last chapter. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So when you see the unit number 5, a specific relief. Specific relief. Normally, you might have heard penalty. What is a penalty? Penalty is nothing but the cash you have to give. This penalty, though you don't have any jail term in civil contract, लेकिन कभी कभी penalty, if you are unable to pay the damages, you have to go to jail.
Penalty.
You have to be in jail.
Jail.
अंदर रह के आना पड़ता. You have to go and spend some time. Penalty. Or you have to pay the damages. In some there is a penalty also. Okay, duty to mitigate, to control what the damage has been done. Okay, it can be monetary as well as non-monetary. Penalty money, it is a negative term. It is non-monetary as well as monetary. Okay. Next, the unit 5. What is unit 5? Specific Relief Act. Now this is generally deals with the immediate relief you will be having for any breach of contract is done. It can be of property, it can be specific performance of contract. Okay. Then the rectification of instruments. You are making some changes. Rescission, money completely taking back, cancelling the contract. Then you have cancellation of instruments. Declaratory decrees. These are all we'll discuss detail. Then we'll see the preventive relief. Now normally in our day-to-day conversations we hear about the stay orders. We hear about stay orders. The stay orders in legal language are called as injunctions. The stay order in legal language is called as injunction. It can be temporary or it can be perpetual. Perpetual means lifetime. Perpetual means lifetime.
Lifetime.
Then you will have mandatory. Mandatory means compulsory. Mandatory means compulsory.
Compulsory.
Prohibitory means to stop something. Prohibitory means to stop, रोक देना. Okay. Then injunction to perform a negative agreement. So we'll see the definition of what is a negative agreement. So I hope you have understood the syllabus.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is the syllabus for your contract number 1
Yes,
for
sir.
the first semester. Common for both law, LLB, general as well as honors. Okay. So within 1 minute, our session will end here. Please log in within 5 minutes or 1 or 2 minutes. We'll go through the Bail Act. Now, as you have seen your syllabus, now we have to come to the Bail Act. Okay. So, do you have any doubts or any general questions, queries?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So, take a break of 1 minute, and then this recording I'll send. It will just convert within 1 minute, and we'll start again with the Bail Act. Okay. So, I'm ending the
Okay, sir.
law of torts. अलग subject है आपका. The law of tort is different subject. देखिए semester 1 में, please see this. There is a law of contracts 1, and the fourth subject is law of torts. Tort is a different. It is a civil wrong. Okay, it is a personal wrong. So we have law of contracts, family law 1, constitutional law 1, law of contracts, and environmental law. 5 subjects for general, LLB general. Okay. So by this, within 1 minute, please re-log in again.
Okay.
I'm ending the
Okay, sir.
session.